All right, I will call to order the Judiciary Committee meeting for October 8th, 2025, 7 p.m. Roll call is, present is Michelle Shea, Commissioner Addie Thatcher, Commissioner Callahan, Commissioner Minkins, Commissioner Healy, and absent is Commissioner Anderson. Communication, first item, communication number 2025-310, Matt Enruth, Butte-Silver County Attorney, requesting Council of Commissioners authorization for the County Attorney's Office to draft a new ordinance regulating the sale and distribution of medical and recreational marijuana in Butte-Silver County. I believe that County Attorney Enruth has a status update for us.
Yes, Commissioners. What I've presented to you tonight is an actual draft of what the ordinance is going to look like with regards to what it's going to contain, how it looks, in accordance with how we draft ordinances here in Silver Bow County. There are a couple of things that I specifically highlighted in it. One of them is, the pages aren't numbered, I apologize, but it would be page 3 under zoning, location, and distance restrictions. That was one of the biggest things that everybody looked at. The distance restriction in here is currently set at 500 feet, basically in a radius rather than with the current state law, which has to be on the same street and also from one door to the next. We added some additional language in there too, that the entrances do not have to be located on the same street and may include other outbuildings. Specifically, when we look at Butte High School, it has the welding shop. We would consider that an outbuilding. One thing I did highlight is the signage and advertising. What I've gotten a lot of phone calls on is when people drive by, they see the marijuana leaves, they see those things. That used to be heavily regulated by state law. It's gotten a lot looser. We can tighten that up if we want to. And I do think we can make that actually applicable to the ones that are here. When we look at the number of dispensaries that would be allowed in Butte-Silver County, currently on page 2 at the bottom down there, it shall not exceed 10. The current number the current number of dispensaries in the city, that's left blank because I didn't have a definitive answer on that yet. It sounds like one actually might have just recently closed down or moved. But they would be grandfathered in under this ordinance. However, if you go to the next page, if they relocate to a new address, change ownership, expand beyond the footprint of their current licensed premises, then the dispensary shall be treated as a new applicant, can only operate if there is an open slot. There is some additional language that we're looking at adding to this specific section, which would be corporate restructuring and things like that. Sean and I were discussing that. We did not know if that would, hold muster in front of the Supreme Court. If they internally restructure, that's a problem. But the change in ownership covers that whole branch as well. So if they restructure internally, if a president changes, some of these companies are structured as S-corps. So if they get a new president just because someone retires or something like that, I don't think we'll be able to yank the license because the ownership is remaining the same under the S-corp. However, if they change ownership, the S-corp changes or anything like that, then they would be restricted. They would have to fall under the below the 10 limit if we have one open. We also have in there specifically that no person or business shall hold more than one dispensary license at any time within Butte-Silver County. We are going to update that as well to also include any cultivation facilities. But if you look through it, it's got a lot of the standard language that's in the state law. It must be 21, secured places, can't have it in vehicles, it's prohibited. Inspections, records, and compliance. This ordinance would also give us the ability to go in and inspect, audit, and conduct our own investigations. Any refusal to allow us to do so would constitute grounds for a license suspension or revocation. The other thing I would like the commissioners to contemplate is penalties for this. So technically this is a civil ordinance. I don't have in here, we have in here the suspension or revocation of a license, assessments of any costs as a lien or special charge against the property, but penalties may include fines. What I'd like the commissioners to think about is if you would like to see just a flat rate fine that occurs on a daily basis while the violation is continuing, or a step up if it starts at 100, then 250 or 500, something along those lines. That was just one of the thoughts that Sean and I had. But it is, as you can see, a violation constitutes, each new day constitutes a new violation if they're not in compliance with the ordinance. We had it a lot bigger. We stripped it down to make it simpler, cleaner, and clearer. This is going to be the base of that ordinance, so I would like you guys to take a look at this. Please hold it in abeyance for another 2 weeks, and then come back with any notes that you guys have, or email them to me, and I can put them in a new redlined version for the public to see and us to see until we get to a final consensus on what this is going to be and get it out of judiciary and through the ordinance process.
Thank you, County Attorney Enruth. I just have a quick question. Did you apply some type of a formula, like a ratio of population to dispensaries or something? How did we arrive at the number 10, and how would that potentially change if there were more people in Butte, or population changed, census data, something like that?
Yes. So we looked at the same thing they do for liquor licenses. And then also the city of Ronan enacted an ordinance where it was basically one license per 10,000 people. Ronan's small, so they only have one license. They're only at 10,000 people. We thought one license per 10,000 people, well, that puts it at 4 in this town. So then we looked at the amount of bars and casinos that Butte has per its population and kind of just came to a number in that middle. I mean, for lack, there's, the way we came to that 10 was it sounded like a good solid number. It was easy. It is based on population in a sense, and was looked at in a manner the same way that they look at liquor licenses. We could contemplate, if the commissioners wanted to, if Butte ever expanded, allowing, increasing that number, or specifically stating it based on population size. So if Butte shrinks, we can go lower too. If the commission would like to entertain that, I have no problem with it.
Okay, thank you very much for that information. I think that would be worth exploring, having a formula and having it adjust automatically through the ordinance. Is that possible?
It is possible, because we could look at our census data and things like that every so many years. And for instance, if we put it at one license per every 10,000 people, just hypothetically speaking, if Butte expanded to a population beyond what it is now, it could add the licenses. Or if Butte continued to shrink, which hopefully we don't,
No.
it could go lower.
Yeah.
Which is why when we looked at Butte and we looked at our geographical location and kind of how Butte can theoretically expand right now, we're pretty limited. We're in a mountain range. And so that's why we set it as a hard number. The other thing we can do is we could put in a clause that would allow the commission itself to readdress the ordinance every so many years based off of a new census or something like that too.
Okay.
Yep.
Thanks. Those are all good ideas. Food for thought for everybody. Appreciate that. Any commissioners have any questions? Commissioner Callahan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I guess my question is, we visited this, 6-7 years ago, and when medical marijuana became legal, and it just kind of bloomed out of control. So we had invited the Attorney General in to kind of give us some advice on what we could do to make some rules. And unfortunately, we found out once he got here, it wasn't under the jurisdiction of the Attorney General's office because it was medical marijuana. So obviously he couldn't help us out. So then we invited the Ms. Hogan, which was the head of the health department. And so she came and kind of explained how the health department handles all these things because it was medical marijuana. And when all the questions and everything were answered, she basically said, we don't have the staff to enforce anything. It's growing out of control, and we don't have the staff to really keep control of it. But since it's become, legally, it doesn't have to be medical marijuana. Is this back under the jurisdiction of the Attorney General's office, or is it still, has the state changed the rules on this deal, or?
County Attorney Enruth.
Madam Chair, Commissioner Callahan. No, the Department of Public Health and Human Services still operates this particular department. They are their own department, so it's basically right. It's they have sectioned them out. So you have your guys that do alcohol, tobacco, and then you have specifically the guys that do just marijuana. Yeah, they have their own set of administrative rules and department under the Department of Public Health and Human Services in the state. So if you're talking about who has the ability to enforce those laws, local counties do, and then the Attorney General's office also has the authority if we request them to do so. but specifically in the new statutes they passed, it allows counties to draft their own ordinances with regards to how they want to see medical and recreational marijuana regulated within their county borders.
Thank you,
Or
County
cities
Attorney
as well.
Enruth. Thank you. Follow up?
So basically, things really haven't changed a whole lot, but the Attorney General's office still has some authority.
County Attorney Enruth.
Madam Chair, Commissioner Callan, the Attorney General's office has authority in the sense of they can enforce the law if we asked them to. So, for instance, if two shops, are on the same street and they're in violation of the state law, we would call them, and yes, the licensing department would enforce it. But what the law also allows us to do is have our own regulatory ordinance in place so we can just enforce it locally. We don't have to use them.
Okay, great.
Thank you. Any other commissioners? Any questions? Okay, so I would, I agree with County Attorney Enruth. I'd like to hold this in abeyance in the Judiciary Committee and attach this draft to the agenda and wait for additional recommendations, red lines, conversations. So I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to hold this communication in abeyance. Okay.
Okay, there's a motion and a second to hold Communication 2025-310 in abeyance. Anything on the question? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Next item on the agenda are the claims. These are the claims. There's two. One to John Panich for $400, a bond refund for 1354 Evans Avenue, and the second one for C&W Investments LLC for $8,922.58 for a refund on a redemption of a tax assignment parcel. I would entertain a motion to approve the claims.
Make a motion to approve the claims as presented.
There's a motion and a second to approve the claims. Anything on the question? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Okay, that is the end of the agenda. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.